everyone, Iris here. Today I want to talk about how to land your first job fresh out of college. Many of you have recently graduated and you're wondering how to get your foot in the door and enter the corporate world. Now, this video isn't for anyone who is becoming a freelancer or starting their own business, but this video is more geared toward entering an actual corporate world, whether that's a startup or a larger corporation, and getting that first foot in the door in your first real job. So my first tip for you is a tip that is very personal to me, and that is not to be picky when it comes to salary. Now, I'm not saying that you should undercut yourself in terms of how much you should actually be making. You're now educated and you deserve as much as you can get. However, when you're fresh out of college, work experience is going to be a lot more important than salary. I'll give you an example of this. When I graduated college, I got a job offer at a little under 40K, I think it was. And if you live in LA or in a big city, you know that that barely makes rent. However, I knew that this job was going to be great for me in terms of building my resume and giving me great experience. It was a large company. I knew that I could leverage my network there. I knew that I could learn a lot. And so I took the job and didn't really stress too much about the salary. On the other hand, I had a lot of friends who graduated college and were very, very focused on the salary that they should be making. Whether it was 60 to 80K at the time, I think was like a really great salary if you had just graduated college. And they really wanted to be making that, and they wouldn't take any job unless it offered that salary. Now, if you work in any type of city, or if you're older and down the line more in your career, you know that hiring a recent college grad at a really high salary is not really realistic for your company because they don't really bring a lot of experience with that salary. My friends ended up holding out for those high salaries, and about 2 years later is when they actually started realizing that they weren't really going to find a job at that high salary. And the cool thing is that, bummer for them, but cool for me, was that within those 2 years that I had taken a job that they were just waiting for a higher salary job, I had gained 2 years of work experience and I had already doubled my salary. Time is on your side when you're younger, and it's super important to gain that work experience and not focus so much on salary, because later on you can really show how much you're worth and you can really get that salary. My friends ended up 2 years later in those 40K roles when they could have just started 2 years earlier and gained that work experience. So I can't stress this enough. My biggest tip is to just not be so picky when it comes to salary, but cut corners where you can in terms of rent. Try and live with your parents, because that work experience is going to be so much more valuable. My next tip is to really leverage your internships. So a lot of colleges require you now to perform or do an internship before you graduate, and it's part of college credit and you need to do it. There's a reason they do this. Internships are great ways to network and find a job for when you graduate. The most important internship to do is the one in the spring that you're going to graduate, or the fall that you're going to graduate. Whatever date you're going to graduate, you should find an internship that butts up against that graduation date, because what you can then do is talk to the employer that you're interning at and say, hey, I now have a degree, I'm free to work full time. Are there any positions at this company that I could be a fit for? And because they've already worked with you for a few months, they know your work ethic and they know you might be a good fit. You're a lot more likely to get hired than someone who's just applying from the outside and has an intern there. Another tip I have is to really go to those career fairs that most colleges put on in the springtime. Some of them happen in the fall, but most of them happen in the springtime. Believe it or not, a lot of my friends in college actually found jobs through those career fairs. It sounds silly, but they actually work. A lot of companies kill for recent grads because they're ambitious, they're eager, they'll work really hard, there's nothing tying them down, they'll go anywhere, and it makes you really, really valuable to them. So check out those career fairs. Obviously, you want to swing on by, maybe with a resume. Try and put yourself together. Don't show up hungover. See if you can talk to any recruiters there about your experience and see if there might be a fit, whether it is an internship or a full-time role. This is also a great way to actually talk to real world people versus just people in an academic setting. Professors are amazing, but they haven't been in the corporate world and they don't know how to help you in today's job market. So career fairs are a great way to go out there, talk to actual real life recruiters who are recruiting people every day, and ask them what they would want to see on your resume. What experience do you need? What are they looking for? This is a great little scouting mission for you so you can figure out, what experience do I need to look out for to be able to be marketable once I actually do graduate? So I highly recommend going to career fairs because I think they're super valuable, especially college campus career fairs. They're specifically looking for undergrads, not super experienced people, and you have a great chance of landing a job after college by doing that. Another recommendation I have, not necessarily a tip, but is just be open to location. You don't necessarily have to jump out of college and work in a really big city. A lot of times, making an entry-level salary in a really big city is very difficult when you're trying to make ends meet. If you're in a smaller town that maybe has a few corporate jobs available and you don't really want to stay in the small town, but it is a good job and it could gain you a lot of experience, I would stay and do it for a year or so, because you're that much more marketable when you want to go to a bigger city and you have a little bit more experience so that you can demand a higher salary that will actually help you survive in that bigger city. So those are some great tips that if you follow, I think could really help you land a job right out of college that you really like and that can help you start gaining your experience and taking that first step to starting your career. Thanks so much for watching. For more videos and content like this coming your way, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it. And be sure to also hit the like button if you like this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in a bit.